Trevor invests $7,200 or $7,200 in two different accounts. The first account paid 14%. The second account paid 11% in interest. At the end of the first year, he had earned $909 in interest. How much was in each account? Okay, so first of all, you have to realize that there's two sets of information being given here surrounding these different accounts. So if we can come up with two equations using this information, and the two equations have the same two variables in them, then we can solve the system of equations. So I'm going to start by assigning variables to some of the unknown, to the two unknown values that we're trying to find. So we're supposed to give the amount that was invested in the account yielding 14% interest. So I'm going to call that X. Okay. And the second account we'll call the amount that we put in the second account, we'll call that Y. So now I know that whatever was invested in the first account and whatever was invested in the second account, if I add those two quantities together, I will get back the total amount of money that Trevor invested. So I can make a very simple equation to start off my system. I can say that X plus Y is equal to 7,200. Next, I will try to find a way to make another equation involving X and Y. So I'm going to read this again. It said the first account paid 14%, the second account paid 11%, and at the end of the first year, he had a total of $909 in interest. So what this means is that if I take the amount that was entered into the first account and multiply it by the 14% interest as a decimal, 0.14, and then I add that to the amount that was put into the second account and then multiplied by 11% interest as a decimal, 0.11. If I add those quantities together, I will have a total of $909 in interest. So now I've got my system of equations and I'm ready to start solving. One thing you might want to do is to get rid of your decimals, although it's not really required. Sometimes that can make things feel more comfortable. So you could multiply the second equation through by 100. That will effectively move the decimal places over twice. And so we would have this equivalent system, the first equation unchanged, the second equation now 14x plus 11y equals, I'm going to put two zeros on the end of 909 since this decimal moved over twice when we multiplied it by 100. Okay, so now what can I do? Well, since I have no coefficients on my variables in the first equation, it makes sense to me that we can just solve for one of those variables and then substitute it into the second equation. So I'm sorry, I got distracted because my computer's making weird noises at me. Hopefully I didn't lose sound. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this. I'm going to solve the first equation by subtracting y on each side. So I'll have 7,200 minus y on the right side. And now x is all by itself. Then I'm going to take that, and instead of having x in my second equation, I'm going to substitute it with this expression. So my second equation, 14 times x plus 11y equals 90,900, and I'm going to plug in the equivalent expression for x, 7,200 minus y. Okay, then we will simplify until we are able to get a value for y. So let me pause. Okay, so after distributing the 14 times 7,200, I got 100,800, and then distributing it to the 14 to the negative y, I got negative 14y here. And then I'm going to combine my y values and rewrite the system again. Okay, now you can see that I have simplified by combining my negative 14y plus 11y into negative 3y. We'll continue solving for y, and as soon as y is all by itself, we'll be done. So I'm going to pause again. Okay, so after subtracting the 100,800 from both sides, my second equation is now negative 3y equals 90,900 minus 100,800. Then in the next line, I just simplified by combining those quantities together. So I did 90,900 minus 100,800. That's hard to say. And then my second equation now is negative 3y equals negative 9,900. Dividing both sides by negative 3, then I get y equals 3,300. So now that I have a value for my y variable, I can replace that. So I'm going to take this 3,300 and replace the y up in this equation so that I can have the x value, and it makes sense, right? Because remember, the two quantities added together have to give you the total 72,000. So now I have x equals 7,200 minus 3,300, which is 2,400, and y is 3,300. Okay, so let's just check that 2,400 plus 3,300 is equal, oh, I messed it up. Just kidding. Let me back up. Wow. Okay, so I had 7,200 minus 3,300. That's 3,900 or 3,900. Leave this one like it is. That one's good. Now this one right here has to be corrected to be 3,900. Okay, so as I was saying, so now I can simplify x equals 7,200 minus 3,300, and then I have x is 3,900 while y is 3,300. And notice that if you were to add those both together, you will get the 7,200 that we started with. All right, so that is how to solve an interest in two accounts problem.